Welcome everyone. Today in Clash Royale we are going to be playing an engine themed deck, and today's inspiration comes from a car that I saw on Instagram that is being built now, and I believe it's going to be sold and ready next year, and it is the Toyota GR GT. I thought it was a really cool looking car. I don't think that Toyota has a whole lot of high performance cars that are actually available to buy. I think this is kind of one of a few that they've ever built, so it's something that I was really excited about. I think it looks really awesome. It has a twin turbo V8 with a hybrid system, so it has over 600 horsepower, so it should be an absolute beast. And I was getting really excited about it, and then I found out the price point, and I don't think there's a confirmed price, but it should be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, which would put it at the same price point as Ferraris and Lamborghinis. So I was a little disappointed knowing that I'd probably never get to own one or drive one, but I still think it's an awesome car. And because it has a twin turbo V8, we've built a V8 in Clash Royale. It's called a V8 because it has 8 pistons or 8 cylinders. So we also have 8 cylinders in our deck. These are all of these cylindrical cards in the game. We have the barrels, we have the barrels of the cannon and the mortar, and then we have the battle ram and the log. So these are all cylindrical cards. We essentially have 8 cylinders as well. So it is an engine themed deck, and there's not a whole lot of variety as far as, there's several buildings, there's several win conditions. There's not a whole lot of ground troops. Like if we were to face a Mega Knight or a Boss Bandit, there's not a lot of troops that we can put on the ground that would be able to defend that very well. I think cannon card is really our best answer, and secondary to that is a barred barrel, but that's about it. And so I'm a little bit worried. I'm a little bit worried about if that were to happen. In a mini P.E.K.K.A. as well is another one of those cards, because our only real answer for it is our only real answer is a cannon cart. The bar barrel is going to get one-shotted. We could play a defensive ram or something, but which we might end up having to do that. But the message that I wanted to share with you all is a little bit unconventional, and it's something that I'm not a professional at. So, I guess what I'm saying is take this with a grain of salt. And this is something that I essentially thought of when, Fenrir, who is one of the people in my clan, he's one of my friends. We play 2v2s pretty frequently on here, and again, he's in my clan. But he commented on I think a YouTube video that I made a couple of days ago, and he asked for a guide on how to talk to women. And I mentioned this, but it's not something that I'm very good at. But there is a thing or two that I know about it, and I was kind of reminded of this when I guess I kind of remembered in an instance that happened a few months ago. And Fenrir, if you're watching, you'll know who I'm talking about because it happened in the clan. But a few months ago, somebody joined our clan, and he had a crush on one of the girls in the clan, and he wasted no time telling her. And the way that he went about saying it was really horrible, in my opinion. He essentially said, I might need a double building here for the giant. Okay. He does not even need the giant. But essentially, this guy joined the clan a few months ago, and he wasted no time in telling this girl that he really liked her. And the way that he went about saying it was really horrible, because essentially what he said was, my entire life I've only ever experienced pain and hurt my whole life. I just want someone that'll love me. I think he said some other things to the extent of I don't think he said I'm a horrible person, but he essentially was just putting himself down. He was talking about, how much pain he had endured and how he just wanted somebody that was gonna love and care for him. And it was like, really? He just put himself in this completely powerless position so that he could get pity from this girl. And that was essentially his strategy, was get pity. Get pity points. Talk about how horrible his life has been, and talk about how much pain and everything he's struggled with, and then just get pity points essentially. And it was just a horrible way to go about it, because girls, they don't want someone that they constantly have to affirm and support. Not that they don't want to support. Obviously, a relationship is about supporting each other, but I just meant they don't want to be your savior. They don't want to come in and completely redeem you and completely have to affirm you and support you all the time. And yet that's kind of the direction that this guy was going, the direction that he was aiming for. And this is something that I did when I was a kid as well. I mean, I kind of did the same strategy when I was 9 or 10 years old. I mean, I was really young, but I did the same thing. Like when I would make a drawing or a painting, I would intentionally say it was bad because I wanted other people to tell me it was good. I would essentially sabotage myself and put myself in a... Okay, is this guy saying good game because he... I think he's saying good game because he knows that he knows he can probably beat me, which is something that I... Oh no, maybe not. Maybe he's actually letting me have the win. Okay, that's nice of him, I guess. But it's something that I did when I was younger as well. Is I would essentially sabotage myself, put myself in a completely powerless, weak state so that other people could affirm me and other people could tell me what I wanted to hear. And I'm sure many other kids did it as well, where they would say, you essentially talk bad about things that you create or things that you do because so that other people can have pity on you and tell you the opposite and tell you, no, it looks great, or no, you're doing great, and whatnot. And it's just, I don't think it's an attractive trait. I don't think it's something that girls like. And not just girls, but people in general. I don't think people in general like to constantly be around someone who is just belittling themselves. I mean, I think people want someone with a bit of confidence, and it's something that's very important to have. I mean, it's important to have some self-confidence. It's important to have trust in yourself. And like I mentioned, girls don't want to be your savior. They want a partner. They don't want a project, and they don't want to. And that's not to say that relationships have to be perfect. Because there's always kind of projects that you're working on and things that you're trying to get better on. But I think we're gonna have to go with a defensive ram here because we don't have anything else. But essentially, it applies to relationships and talking to girls, but it also applies to life in general. Because if you're constantly relying and waiting on other people to affirm you, and if you're constantly waiting on something externally, then you're never going to do much internally, because you're constantly waiting on external factors in order to do that. And so, yes, it applies to relationships. Yes, it applies to talking to girls, but it also just applies to, I think it also just applies to life in general, and how it's important to have confidence and important to have trust in yourself, and how if you don't have that and you're constantly waiting on other people to affirm you and tell you what to do, then you're never going to get much done. So that's the message that I wanted to share with you all, is if you're wanting to know how to talk to girls, or if you're just wanting to know how to feel successful and happy in life, then what I would have to share is you have to have some self-confidence and some self-trust. And I think that starts by, I think the way that you get that is by doing what you say you're going to do. Because if you, I mean, think about it. It's the same case with trust in other people. I mean, if you ask somebody to do something and they do what you ask them to do, or if they do what they say they're going to do, you have more trust in them. And the same thing is true is, if you ask somebody to do something and they don't do it, then you start to you have a lack of trust in them. And the same thing applies to yourself. If you do what you tell yourself you're going to do, you're going to have more trust, more confidence in yourself. And if you don't, then that's what leads to not trusting in yourself, not believing in yourself. So if you tell yourself that you're going to study homework, you're going to study for the test after you eat dinner, then do it. If you tell yourself that you're going to make your bed in the morning, then do it. It can be something really small, but once you do that, you start to have trust in yourself, you start to have more belief in yourself, and you start to play less of the victim. You start to put, you don't put yourself in a victim situation where you're constantly waiting for other people to affirm you and to tell you to tell you what you want to hear. And I think that'll apply. I think that'll help you to not only talk to girls, but to just talk to people in general. And I think it'll also help you to be more productive in your daily life, because now the motivation and the drive and the trust and the belief and all of that comes from inside instead of from other people, and you don't have to wait for them to tell you. So that's the message that I wanted to share. That was the engine deck. I think we won. I mean, technically we won 1 out of 2 because the first guy gave us the win, but hopefully you enjoyed the engine deck. Hopefully you enjoyed the message, and remember, as you go about your day, have a little bit more trust and confidence in yourself by doing what you tell yourself you're going to do, and I think you'll find that you're better off in life. So hopefully you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you all soon.